Okay, so Coffeezilla has been doing a really good job of compiling most of the most important parts of the Epstein file dumps that we've been getting so far. Uh, the latest dump we've already watched his first video on. This is his second video that we're going to react to now. Let me shrink myself first. All right, there we go. Okay.
It only gets worse from here. We're going back into the 3 million documents. So far, we mostly covered how billionaires lied about their relationship with Epstein and or got blackmailed in the drafts, eventually killing their marriage. We talked about Howard Lutnick, how he lied about meeting Epstein, although he still denies this. And we also talked about some horrible accusations against Trump and Bill Clinton, although we were clear that they are unverified. Now, some people have responded to the release, like Elon Musk, saying that no one fought harder for the full release of the Epstein files than I did. Ironically, he claims that he knew that the playbook of the far left propagandists and legacy media is admit nothing, deny everything, and making counter accusations, saying he had never.
Bitch, what the fuck are you on about? The DOJ, Trump's DOJ released these files. Like, what are you talking? What? This man, like, the ketamine has fried his brain to a point that's like, oh my god. Did you graduate any form of schooling? Like, I seriously wonder sometimes. People think you're a genius. That's crazy. What? Anyways.
Set foot on Epstein's creepy island or attended parties, despite the fact we saw last time that Elon was.
Yeah, because he fucking he dodged your fucking. You tried to invite yourself and he dodged it. Like, well, that was one of the times that you asked to go, you fucking freak.
Asking to be invited to the party. What day night would be the wildest party on your island? Nevertheless, I think it's an interesting point. The playbook, as we get into this much darker side of the 3.5 million files, you're going to notice this trend is true, that everyone we're going to talk about, basically they admit nothing, they deny everything, and then they usually make counter accusations against other people in the files. Almost no one has faced any kind of consequences for this whole thing, leading me to wonder, why is it that it seems like really only in the rest of the world has anyone faced anything? I mean, you've got the former Prince Andrew losing his title. You've got the Slovakia National Security Advisor resigning over the Epstein links. But in America, I'm really hard-pressed to think of anyone who has actually faced any kind of accountability. I think Larry Summers stepped back voluntarily. But other than that, it's hard to think of anyone who's faced any kind of justice. In fact, arguably, Ghislaine Maxwell's life is better than it was previously since these Epstein files have dropped. And what's crazy about this is that we know that the government story is false. Remember, the FBI documents showed they had 10 co-conspirators they were investigating. We also got an old draft of an indictment where they had several co-defendants with Epstein. Now, of course, we know these were never ultimately charged. This was back in 2005, but just imagine all the way back in 2005, where these charges are from, we already had evidence that Epstein was not working alone, and, like, of course he's not.
Noam Chomsky with manufacturing consent. It's not funny, but damn, damn.
But now we're going to talk a little bit about how the scheme operated. Now, to be clear, we're going to talk in a second about the laundering of Epstein's reputation, the people who protected him this whole time. But right now, I want to talk about how Epstein got some of these girls in the first place, because the Epstein files provide an interesting look behind the curtains. Obviously, we know Ghislaine Maxwell was helping, whether it be procure the girls, talk them into stuff. But now we have emails of a different side of the scheme. It says, yesterday I spoke to Daniel Syed, who Jean-Luc Brunel describes as a scout or recruiter of girls or women for Jeffrey Epstein. Attached to this incoming email from Brunel is the contact information he has for Syed. And then they blacked out his number and email. But digging into Jeffrey's emails with Daniel shows that he was constantly sending him links to girls. It shows Jeffrey Epstein paying Daniel 3,000 euros, which, to be clear, was the amount that was agreed to by Jean-Luc Brunel. Quote, Dominique, we will...
I'm sure he'll go over, but Jean-Luc Brunel is, he owned a modeling agency. He was close friends with Jeffrey Epstein. He was in this circle with everybody. He was charged with like sex trafficking and everything, because he was using his modeling agency as a front for sex trafficking, like a lot of people were back in the day. And once he got charged and he was taken into custody, he died the exact same way that Jeffrey Epstein did in prison. He hung himself in the same fashion, which is just, it's curious that all of these international sex traffickers for the elite, once they get convicted, once they get caught, they end up dead, suicide, right? Because everybody believes that.
We will pay him 3,000 euros each month for scouting for a 6-month period. On all models we will get him, we will pay him 5% commission on their earnings. Imagine it's like baseball or it's like basketball. You're scouting for, I hate to use the word talent, but that's really what this guy was doing. He was going around the globe trying to find people for Jeffrey Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel. According to one lawsuit, Epstein trafficked a Jane Doe to Jean-Luc Brunel many times. It describes their operation as this: many of the girls came from poor countries or impoverished backgrounds. He lured them in with a promise of making good money. Quote, Brunel has been a model scout for various modeling agencies for many years, and he was apparently able to get you.
It's so gross. Kind of like, it seems as though they really, really exploited the fact that the dissolution of the USSR kind of wreaked havoc on a lot of these post-Soviet Union countries, and it led to a lot of poverty and economic struggles, and just a lot of struggles within these countries, to the point where these young girls were desperate. They wanted to go to America to get the American dream, and it's just like they took advantage over the strife in these countries to rape these young women and like young girls, and everything that we've seen so far. We saw like how many passports of like underage girls and just random women from like random fucking post-Soviet states. Like, it's so fucking depraved. It's fucking craven. These people, hell is not hot enough.
U.S. passports for young girls to work as models, eventually, of course, being sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, it should be noted that Jean-Luc Brunel himself died in prison by hanging, and that's while he was being accused of horrible crimes related to trafficking and minors. So this guy is not a good guy. He was part of the op, along with Daniel Syed, who was also scouting on behalf of Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel. They had their agreement. Here's a sample of how this would work. Jeffrey Epstein asked him to take a full body shot of someone. Daniel Syed says, now she is really skinny, I will do Polaroid. Jeffrey Epstein asks for a copy of her passport and then asks, how many tickets do you...
That was, see, like I said, we saw a bunch of fucking, in one of the dumps, that we saw a ton of photos of fucking passports. They were all redacted, the names and the photos, obviously, but there were tons of passports from a ton of different countries, and notably, they were all white countries, but, well, he is a racist, and he is a Jewish supremacist, ultra-Zionist, or he was, Jeffrey Epstein was, and he hung out with a lot of people like that. Anyways, well, he was it's pretty much confirmed at this point. It's not conspiracy. Like, he was a spy, a special agent for... I guess he freelanced. He mainly worked for Israel, but he also worked for CIA and KGB, and it's crazy. So obviously he's like a Zionist, but he's also like pretty rabid Jewish supremacist. Like, the way that he talks about non-Jewish people, or the way that he talked about non-Jewish people, aka Goyim or Goy. Yeah, he's a Jewish supremacist like that, and a lot of people are focusing on these things, but like, it's so not really. It's really just not important at this moment in time. We see proof, like I just said. We pretty much have proof now that he was a special, like a spy. The dude was a spy, blackmailing people with fucking their fucking pedophilia. or pictures of them fucking people, or like whatever. Like it's fucking insane.
You want for Woody, meaning Woody Allen. He says 2. Okay, thank you. Full body if possible. And then Jeffrey Epstein says, doesn't look too happy. Comments on her body. And then he says
Also, I forgot Woody, like the just the worst people in the world. I like what Woody Allen. The worst people live forever. The most evil people live forever. He's old as a hill. Jesus.
He is very sweet. I'll skip a few of the sordid details here. They comment about her body extensively. And then Jeffrey Epstein says, I sent a request. Does she want to come out to Paris on Sunday? He says, I will invite to come. And this is basically how it worked. Daniel Syed flew around the world looking for women, sending photos to Jeffrey Epstein, who then would get a copy of their passports and bring him to the States. Here's an example of this. Daniel Syed brings him a girl. They didn't redact this name, but I'm going to do it. He says, very nice, easygoing, dream to work in United States or visit the United States working as a model in Dubai. He asks age. Daniel says 22 or 23. I forgot to ask her. She looks younger. I have her number if you want to go to the United States or visit the United States.
Very nice, easygoing girl. Her dream is to work in the States or visit the States. Right now, she's working as a model in Dubai. Obviously, we know that these men were taking advantage of these women, but in so many cases, it goes so much deeper in how they chose to do that. Like, it wasn't just like regular manipulation. They're taking advantage of this young girl's dreams. Like, she's 22 or 23. Like, she's just a kid. And how old was Jeffrey Epstein at this time? Like, fucking in his 50s? Like, honestly, I,
working as a model in Dubai. He asks age. Daniel says 22 or 23. I forgot to ask her. She looks younger. I have her number if you want to call her. She was going to send this evening. And this happens over and over. At one point, he talks about a Thai actress. Jeffrey Epstein says he can see her on Wednesday, and then he complains that she wants to meet in a restaurant. I don't do that in New York, and then says she didn't even respond. Not nice. The point is, a lot of these girls were looking to come to the United States for one reason or another, for some kind of dream. They would ask for passports or visas, and then ultimately get sent here by this network of people who would later be accused of trafficking or other abuses. Now, to be clear, there have not been charges against Daniel Syed, and the government, remember, says they have no evidence to go even predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. So it's a little bit bizarre to be reading about this scouting operation for Jeffrey Epstein, the way he recruited girls, and then be told, yeah, nothing to see here. Yeah, one of the scouts was like this, like, who in jail, but no, there's no one else here, even though there's definitely guys floating around, even though we literally have redacted defendants in our old draft of an indictment. We have nothing to do. We can't possibly imagine doing anything. And that brings me to one of the frustrating parts of these whole files is the redactions. I mean, I know I've been over this, but it's a different thing. In the past, the files were sort of overly redacted to protect people. The problem this time is not only are a lot of people still being protected, like literally the names of the people they were going to charge, you couldn't argue those are victims, but the work was just done so sloppy that oftentimes you'll find that the DOJ has uploaded 2 documents that are functionally identical, and they redacted one but not the other, letting you see what's ultimately behind the mask, which is dumb because sometimes the thing they're redacting is Jeffrey Epstein's name. Or other times, it's somebody who clearly is not a victim, because then you see the non-redacted copy and you're like, yeah, that's clearly not a victim. So it's a little strange what they seem to have done here. Let me give you a for instance. So we have this message from somebody whose name is blacked out, and we see.
Also, I don't know if he's going to go over it, but they released a ton of nude photos of victims, of people. Like, there's a ton unredacted. A ton of victims' names were unredacted. Like, what the fuck were you doing? You took like 3 months. What do you what what? You had these. You also said that you were going over them and through them for like the entire year. I seriously don't understand how is it this poorly done.
The participants, and then we see.
And they had to wait until the fucking New York Times fucking told them. Like, that's crazy. Like, New York Times had to call out. What if we just called Taylor up? What if you just called the DOJ up and told them that they're shit, they're incompetent, and released a ton of nude photos? Like, and they didn't even release everything. So, like, crazy.
Jeffrey Epstein is involved, right? And it says, we need to work around your 38. We need to push back on the lies, then crush the pedo trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist. Now, I want to know who's doing that. Who's trying to rebuild Jeffrey Epstein's image, right? Well, we go ahead, we scroll down, and we see that Jeffrey Epstein sends something. He says, in any bar where drinking age is 18.
Steve Bannon. Sorry.
And you see the participant is once again blacked out. But underneath it, in a separate file, we see Steve Bannon, a famous
sloppy Steve Bannon. He was all over the first Trump regime. He's been like, what the fuck is this? Like, what? Subpoena him. Like, what? Subpoena everybody. Like, charge everybody. Everybody needs to be investigated. Years and years ago. What the fuck? He's trying to rehabilitate the image of fucking Jeffrey Epstein, an international sex trafficker, as a philanthropist. Crush the pedo trafficking narrative? You cannot. You cannot crush that narrative. Because it's not a narrative. It's just fact. Factuality. The fuck? Sloppy Steve Bannon. Please, Bannon. Like,
this political figure is in here, and he's saying the same thing. He says, first, we need to push back on the lies, then crush the trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist. Guys, why did you censor out his name? Or, like, why was that censored at all? I don't understand. And I certainly don't understand why Jeffrey Epstein's name in this one is censored. So, Jeffrey's not censored in this one, but Bannon is, and then Bannon's not censored in this one, and Epstein is. And sometimes this creates the bizarre impression that they are censoring for victim names or for some like kind of victim status or for some reason. And then you see the other file and you're like, wait, why did you do this? It's just very poorly done throughout. That's just something I wanted to comment on, is not only did they once again not fully redact things because they were sloppy, but also like victims' names got stuck in this. Like girls' names appear sometimes, and like I'm not sure, are they supposed to be redacted? Because they're redacted over here, they're not over here. I can kind of figure out who it is. It's just kind of a mess. I needed to point that out. You know, other times we have things like this, like Brock Pierce, a co-founder of Tether, also known as the biggest stable coin in the world. He sent a message to Jeffrey Epstein with the subject line Anastasia, and then it's just a bunch of redacted stuff with a few untitled JPEGs in here. And so, you know, you're thinking to yourself, what is this? Is he sending some illicit media? Like, what is this? Well, then we have this page where it wasn't redacted. I put that little dark square that I didn't know if this should have been redacted or not. But it's like a bunch of JPEGs. Now, does that contain victims? Is Brock Pierce sending photos of victims? I don't know because of the way the government did this. But underneath, it says, the Ukraine is now my favorite country, smiley face, Brock Pierce, with the subject.
Case in point, like I said, they were using these post-Soviet states as like a hunting ground. Like, it's absolutely fucking insane. Like, okay.
Blind Anastasia. I don't know what to make of that. I'm just saying the redactions, like the way they did this, is not good. But now let's
also. We've heard so many accounts of like how many victims there are, And a lot of those numbers consist of like American victims and ones that we know of. How many girls are there? At this point, I feel like it's countless. Like, I,
Let's return to Steve Bannon and his "we're gonna crush the trafficking" narrative, because this guy, oh boy, has been revealed in the files to being like Jeffrey's right hand PR man. I mean, this guy was filming basically a documentary about Jeffrey Epstein in order to rehabilitate his image. And some of it has actually leaked to the public. It's been interesting to watch how that's been received. But the funny thing is that originally Jeffrey Epstein's plan was to just do a YouTube video, like an apology, like a old school 2016 turn on the camera for authenticity and saying, you know, he says, "Do you think I can do my own video interview and upload it to YouTube? No sandbagging. Interview."
dinner with Woody or too many pedos in one place? Yes, too many pedos on the earth. You are scourged. You need to be removed. What I think what he did was, honestly, that little island, we needed to send them all back to it. No girls, just all of these old men, these creepy, disgusting, old, perverted creeps. Ugh. He's gonna sit down on his kitchen floor and do a fucking YouTube apology video like fucking Trisha Paytas. Like, I no hate to Trisha Paytas, love her, but like, what are we gonna do? You're gonna sit on the floor and put a fake tear on your face like Laura Lee? Like, what are we doing?
Interview format or like a diary piece. Steve Bannon says if you do an interview, it can't be like Johnny does a YouTube. It has to be amazingly professional and perfectly cut. Then Jeffrey Epstein responds, Woody, we assume Woody Allen, because they were close, said he would help edit. Not sure how to stage. What?
Yeah. Working with Woody Allen is sure to rehabilitate your image. Like, I know this man's like illiterate, but you're that dumb. You're that dumb. He married his daughter. Stepdaughter, sure. He also molested his daughter, the other one. So, what are we doing? What? You're crazy. What? Woody Allen?
Points to make, but better than trying to do an interview that I have no experience doing. Goal is to humanize the monster. Anything written carries little weight.
So you agree? You're a monster. What an insane thing to.
To which Steve Bannon replies, yes, Jeffrey Epstein. Should it be an interview format, interviewed by me? They start talking about, like, how do we do this? Humor, apology, how did I get rich? Question mark topics. They're breaking.
I know what you can do. You can do a town hall with Barry Weiss. I'm sure she would love to have you on. She would have. Oh my god. In your place, she'll just have on Alan Dershowitz and Peter T. Like, all of your friends.
Great story. How do we trick the public into seeing me as more than a monster? Now, funny enough, right before this, Jeffrey Epstein asks about a dinner with Woody, and then he says, or too many pedos in one place. And you gotta love the self-awareness there. Now, I don't know what he meant by that. To be clear, I'm not making that accusation against Woody Allen. We'll talk about him in a
I am. Woody Allen is a pedophile. He married and had children with a woman, a young girl, that he was in the life of since she was 9 years old. He also has been accused, and I fully believe his daughter, Dylan Farrow, when she says she was molested by him multiple times. So, like, the man is a pedophile. Woody Allen is a pedophile. Woody Allen is a pedophile. Case in point. There is no if, ands, or buts. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go directly to jail. Woody Allen, you are a pedophile, a groomer, a disgusting old pervert. You're gross.
In a second. That's Jeffrey Epstein saying that. I think what's interesting to point out, though, is how all
And me.
these rich and powerful people are circling the wagons to try to protect Jeffrey Epstein's reputation, right? This is a guy who at this point has been known for years to have pled guilty to these 2008 charges. This was an open secret. And so Steve Bannon goes along though anyways, and he films this documentary. Now what's interesting is he starts talking about the documentary and he starts saying, I'm watching our second hour now. Guys were blown away. I didn't think it was as strong at the time, but I was wrong. Need huge part about threat of AI versus reality, threat of climate change. And this is where the notes start going back and forth of how can we get you to think of other things? So part of the conceit of this big interview of Jeffrey Epstein was to try to humanize him and actually present him as this genius, everyman, quirky guy with a few flaws, right? They knew they couldn't run away from the crimes. To quote, in Bannon's words, yes, 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 of course, but we must counter rapists who traffics in female children to be by world's most powerful, richest men. That can't be redeemed. Can't redeem the unredeemable. You are a lot of things which we will show, but you are not that. Bannon is aware that like they can't fully embrace the Epstein thing. They have to kind of make it about more than that. And if you see the YouTube clip going around, that's what that is. And it's been so interesting to watch the reaction because you see, even for people who've been prepped with the idea that this is basically propaganda, some of them still fall for it. They post things like, you know, oh, bro is casually confirming the world's conspiracies because he's talking about 2008. But guys, that's the whole deception. They're like trying to be like, hey, this guy, this horrible monster, he's going to tell you the secrets of the inside club. So you think more, that's the whole thing. That's
The more I delve into this world, the more I understand how so many people get scammed so easily. Like, wow, you are a dumb bitch. Wow, a gullible motherfucker. Wow. You listened to Jeffrey Epstein speak and you thought, you've seen him, right? Like, what are we? I've seen clips of him that. Like, what? What? People are so dumb. We need to bring back intellectualism. Like, we need to overhaul the education system in America. It needs to. It is so poor. Oh my God.
how they're getting away with this. It's not some kind of, oh, he happened to want to talk about this. This is all premeditated. This has gone through revisions. They even called Jeffrey Epstein the smartest guy in the room.
Look, you're the smartest guy in the room, right? You know that.
It's honestly ridiculous anyone believes the false conceit of, you're obviously the smartest man in the room. You could tell us the world's secrets. I mean, this guy, honestly, he talks about some of his engagements, like with the Rockefeller board, and he tries to say that owning a calculator is why he got that.
It was very advanced in those days to have a Texas Instrument calculator where it could, by putting in the numbers, it would multiply for you to do square roots. And that was the first, and everyone who had a calculator was already advanced on Wall Street. The most important parts of business were really now going to calculations. Places like Rockefeller needed someone to say, look, we're entering a different world where numbers and the numbers of companies, portfolio management was going to be balanced, it was going to be statistical. Jeffrey, could you come on the board, potentially sit on the finance committee?
So we're honestly supposed to believe that Jeffrey Epstein got onto this prestigious Rockefeller board because he had a calculator, but also that he's the smartest guy in the room, the smart.
What the fuck? Like, that's not what. And people were commenting. Wait. Blow us off the map. Abolish the USA. We don't know. Like, what? I was super smart because I had a calculator. So your advantage was that you went to Staples? What? As if the other board members couldn't afford to go down to the fucking Staples, buy themselves a Texas Instrument fucking calculator? What are you talking about? You imbecile. That's like, it's like a teenage boy. Like, how do you how would you think you got if you would raise up through the ranks back in the 80s? I would have a calculator. Okay. What? The most infuriating part of this is how much this man has been hyped up to be this like genius, this like financier, this like genius with money, super smart, smartest guy in the room, always was had that fucking Harvard fucking sweater on, like, and he's not even literate. This man was an international sex trafficking pedophile for the elite. He was a spy for multiple different fucking intelligence agencies, a fucking freelancer, and he's dumb as a rock. What? What? Like, what? I guess his only asset was how evil and depraved he is. Like, I seriously don't understand. Mind you, like, before he was on that fucking board and he worked in like finance or whatever, he was working at the Dalton Academy. He was hired by it's Bill Barr's dad. He hired him at Dalton Academy, and he was 23 at the time. If you know anything about teachers, it takes a lot longer than just 4 years and to finish your schooling. And he had not even graduated college. Like, he didn't even graduate college, and he was hired as a teacher at 23 years old to teach high school, the Dalton, a private high school. Like, it's crazy. And he ended up getting fired because he had inappropriate relationships with the underage girls there. All right, back to Coffeezilla.
Smartest man on Wall Street. And let's not talk about those horrific crimes he committed because, you know, he's not really such a bad guy after all. But it wasn't just Steve Bannon that was trying to humanize or giving advice on how to humanize Epstein. It was also Richard Branson, the famous billionaire. He was caught emailing Jeffrey Epstein saying, "Dear Jeffrey, it was really nice seeing you yesterday. The boys in water sports can't stop speaking about it. Anytime you are in the area, would love to see you as long as you bring your harem." I don't know. That's not that ambiguous, guys. I think we can imagine what that means.
Ew. Go to hell. Oh my god. Oh. Harem. I'm gonna need a shower with boiling hot lava. Okay, no. If you don't know, Richard Branson is the owner of the Virgin Group. It crazy name. Given what we're finding here, crazy. But they own Virgin Mobile, Virgin Records. He owns a ton of shit.
But anyways, He says, one, I think if Bill Gates was willing to say that you've been a brilliant advisor to him, that you slipped up many years ago by sleeping with a 17-and-a-half-year-old and were punished for it, that you've more than learned your lesson and have done nothing that's against the law since. And yes, as a single man, you have a penchant for women, but there's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, something along those lines. He's giving him PR advice. How to get your reputation back. Hey, Jeffrey.
Look, she was not 17 and a half. What are we doing? Like, no. There was a lot more. What are you talking about, you fucktard?
Privately, I loved you. You can come back anytime with your harem. Jeffrey Epstein responds, nice seeing you. Thanks for your hospitality. I appreciate you.
What is this? Like, 17 and a half? Does that make it okay, Richard Branson? At your old, decrepit age of 50? Shooting fucking blanks, probably? Like, what? You probably need Viagra just to fucking get it up, you motherfucker. Like, what are you talking about? 17 and a half. You have no business with an 18-year-old. You fucking creep. Like, what?
Your public relations thoughts. Now, according to the New York Times, a Branson representative said the two had a business meeting and stressed the women were adults and had not attended the meeting. All above board. That's what everyone says, by the way. Remember what Elon Musk said, right? That's the playbook. Admit nothing, deny everything. Speaking of, remember Howard Lutnick, who we showed on video saying that he had never seen Epstein since 2005?
So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
Although also calling him the greatest blackmailer ever.
This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever.
Well, also according to the Times, Lutnick said he spent zero time with him, even though there are emails basically to the contrary, where Epstein is saying, nice seeing you after the conviction. I mean, these people, not only are they lying, they won't even admit when they've been caught lying. But now let's talk about Prince Andrew, too, who was caught lying over a woman at some kind of a party. I mean, just not a good, this is not doing you any favors, you know. I know Prince Andrew soon will probably be on the comeback tour. It's going to be a bunch of highly paid PR execs. Maybe Steve Bannon can jump in, shoot another 5-hour podcast trying to rehabilitate him. Like, Prince Andrew, what's the secret behind the royal family?
Look, you're the smartest guy in the room.
But again, has he admitted anything? Has he denied everything? Now, we should also probably talk about Noam Chomsky as well, the guy behind the book Manufacturing Consent, which in hindsight, maybe we should have suspected something. But either way, he also sends some reputational advice to his buddy Jeffrey Epstein. He says, I watched the horrible way you've been treated by the press and public. It's painful to say. But I think the best way to proceed is to ignore it. When the vultures dearly want is a public response, which then provides a public opening. In general, I think it's best not to react unless directly questioned, particularly in the current mood. That's the best advice I can think of. Noam. Now, he sends that to Matthew Hiltzik of Hiltzik Strategies, who is a also famous PR guy, I guess, trying to help Epstein, I assume, who responds, I think that is wise. Now, later talking with Bannon, Epstein loops in Hiltzik again. He says, Matt Hiltzik thought your idea was epic. Hypocrisy of the liberal left. And he says, yep, he would confidentially like to sit and help if you like. This is Matthew Hiltzik. You know, a lot of powerful people basically were bending over backwards, left, right, center, trying to rehabilitate this guy's image. And the question is, why? Why?
The pedophile, rapist, sex trafficker of children, minors.
Why were all these guys so interested in their precious Jeffrey Epstein if they had no involvement? I mean, that's the part I can't figure out it, because all of them deny it. All of them don't admit anything. And so what exactly is the problem? But now it's time to talk about Elon Musk's brother, Kimball Musk. He was also in the files. Jeffrey was copied on an email talking about Kimball's 40th birthday, where the password to the secret party was P Riot. And then in all caps, Boris, the sender of this email, says, I am not joking about the password. This was in 2012 in September. Now that's important.
Why are all these what are you, 12? Like, what is this? I don't understand. All these fucking old ass fucking men in their 50s and 60s and old ass decrepit ages. And they're so, like, talking to each other like younger than frat boys. Like, High schoolers. It's crazy. High schoolers with billions of dollars. The worst people ever. It's crazy.
Because a little bit later, Kimball Musk is emailing Boris Nikolic and Jeffrey Epstein, and he's talking to them about being connected with some redacted name and saying, I believe you both played a role, whatever that means. Now, whether this was at the party or, right after their meeting in October, I don't know. But what's interesting is Boris responds and says, Kimball, just FYI, you better be nice to redacted. Jeffrey goes crazy when someone mistreats his girls/friends, so better be very nice to her. Kimball Musk responds, message received, wide and clear. Then he says, seriously, I'm very happy with my time so far with Jennifer. She's great. Now, again, was that supposed to be a redacted name we just read? I don't know. They've been redacting it in earlier emails. Then all of a sudden you just get Jennifer. I can't really figure that out. But what I can figure out is that a little while later, a few days later, Jeffrey Epstein gets an email. Now, we know Kimball credits the meetup and says Boris and Epstein were responsible in some way for this. But now Jeffrey Epstein's being emailed about Jen's schedule. Is that Jennifer? I mean, it seems like it because Jen's schedule for the rest of the year, and it seems like the assistant has copy and pasted Jen's response because she says, Sue, these would be dates in November, and then starts saying, this, she can go to New York. She says the 29th to the 7th, she's free. Kimball to New York. Then she says, Kimball, Jen, London. Kimball, Jen, London to Morocco, ? Then she has a break, and then it's Jen, Kimball, St. Bart's, assuming we're not sick of each other by the end of November. Now, I can't figure out why is she running this schedule about when she's hanging out with Kimball, who Jeffrey set her up with. Why is she running this by Elon Musk? To be clear, I don't know. There could be, I guess, innocent explanations for this. Maybe, I don't know. But all I see are constant, powerful people either being introed to girls, talking about the harem, talking about beautiful ladies, and the FBI, they can't figure it out. They have no evidence to even investigate third parties. Why? I guess because they're rich and powerful. Around the world, we're seeing resignations. We're seeing people lose their status. But here in the United States, we've got multiple presidents in the files. We've got the world's richest man in the files, several of the world's richest men in the files, and we just can't drum up any kind of evidence. It's just incredible to me. Now, I also want to talk about another rich and powerful person, and that is Peter Attia. He's a podcast bro. He's a longevity expert, and actually...
Now, I'll be real with you guys. I have no idea who the fuck this is. Sorry to this man. I don't know him nor his bald head.
Funny enough, I read his book, and that's going to come into play here in a second because, oh boy, did I get some additional context. But let's start here with something that Peter Attia sent Jeffrey Epstein. He says, subject, got a fresh shipment. And then Epstein responds, me too, and there's a completely redacted image. Is that a girl? Or is this bad redactions? We don't know, although we'll find out in a second because later Peter responded to this. But Peter says, please tell me you found that picture online. Jeffrey responds, got a fresh shipment, afraid not. Peter responds, the biggest problem with becoming friends with you. The life you lead is so outrageous, yet I can't tell a soul. Why, Peter? Why can't you tell a soul? Why don't you tell us now? Now that it's all out in the open, why don't you tell us why you can't tell a soul the secrets or the life that Epstein leads? And then we get another redacted photo, right? And then some more images, and Peter says, please tell me that's not where you actually are. And Jeffrey says, you can see the gym in the middle, just me and 4. And Peter says, I think you might have a more interesting life than the Dos Equis guy. Is this off the coast of France? No, it's my island in the Caribbean near St. Thomas. If you go to the Google Earth and type in Little St. James. Beautiful. Isn't that nice? Behind closed doors, it's beautiful. In public, we'll hear about what a monster this guy is, right? But behind closed doors, when nobody's watching, oh, it's beautiful. There's some other stuff Peter Attia said, which I'm not going to get into. I don't think it's very, appropriate for medical professionals to be saying such things. But, this wasn't all business, right? This wasn't...
Or old-ass fucking men. Don't you think you would have some... all these men were just fucking obsessed. It's crazy. what is like? I seriously don't get it. Like, I, it's the whole like power thing. You just get addicted to having power over people, and then you just want to like continue to dominate and overcome and rape. It's crazy.
Isn't just doctor-patient kind of stuff. There's a lot of guy talk, a lot of banter between the fellas about ladies. And maybe that's why Peter Attia says,
Like, don't you think there would be you're at the age of like 50, like talk with your guy friends, maybe be a little, yeah, you can have fun sometimes, but like so much and so gross, like so perverted, so much of it and all of it, like just this is have you no shame? Like, what is this? The fuck?
that hopefully Jeffrey Epstein is in town when I'm back in 2 weeks. I go into Jeffrey Epstein withdrawal when I don't see him. So guys, these two were close. I mean, apparently so close that, Peter Attia goes into withdrawal when he doesn't see him. Peter Attia says,
Right.
Are you on island? Jeffrey Epstein says, P Beach, probably Palm Beach. And he says, what do you do when you get there? Jeffrey Epstein, guess. Peter Attia, besides that, I mean, they're not even trying to hide it, guys. This is barely code at this point. What do you do? Guess. Well, besides that, Jeffrey, we know what you do, right? So it's so funny that the FBI is like, we don't know. We can't tell what's out there. We have no evidence, right? No evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties and then proceed to dump on us a ton of evidence. At least to investigate, right? I'm not saying these people are guilty. Obviously, all of them deny, don't admit, blame other people, say other people are responsible for everything. So that is taken as a given. I am not accusing anyone here. I'm just saying, seems like we got a few leads here, fellas. Some people to look at. Now, I want to address the fact that Peter Attia has actually responded to this whole debacle. He says the following email is what I sent my team last night. I sent a similar version to my patients as well. You put your trust, your credibility, your hard work, what we built together, and I take that responsibility seriously. You deserve a complete and honest account of what did and did not happen. I apologize. I did not get this out sooner. I wanted to be thorough. He says, I was not involved in any criminal activity. My interactions had nothing to do with his abuse or exploitation of anyone. I was never on his plane, never on his island, never present at any parties. That said, I apologize.
Motherfucker, are you really I cannot stand it when people just insult my intelligence. Do you think the people that follow you are dumb? My interactions with Epstein had nothing to do with sexual abuse or exploitation of anyone. You were comfortable enough with him, and the nature of a relationship was clearly such that you were emailing him pussy is low carb. What the fuck are you on about? Did you not read the emails that had you in it? Are you dumb or do you think I'm dumb? Because this is bullshit. I was never on his plane, never on his island, never present at any sex parties. Then why were you so comfortable saying such perverted things to him? Clearly the nature of your relationship was one that you were comfortable enough and you knew that he was open to these kinds of comments. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're a doctor? Wow. You could come up with a better, like, what?
I regret putting myself in a position where emails, some of them embarrassing, tasteless, and indefensible, are now public. So it's this apology. He addresses some of the things, and he says that some of it's just banter, right? Like I said, it's just guy talk, whatever that means. He claims that his got a fresh shipment was in reference to a photograph of bottles of metformin, and then Jeffrey responded with a photograph of an adult woman. I responded with crude, tasteless banter. He says one line in that exchange about his life being outrageous and me not being able to tell anyone is
Metformin? The diabetes drug? Give me a minute. Yeah, type 2 diabetes. It's illegal. It's legal. Just got a fresh shipment. Why would that matter? What the fuck? You all these people are so fucking stupid. Like, if you're gonna deny, you have to at least admit to something. Like, if he had said like, I didn't do anything wrong with sexually exploitative, but like the fast shipment was some oxy. Like, you know what? I did something wrong in my past. This is a complete and utter denial. Like, we don't have access to the fucking emails that he himself sent. What? What the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Hello?
It's being interpreted as awareness of wrongdoing. That's not how I meant it at all. What I was referring to poorly and flippantly was the discretion commanded by those socials and professional circles. The idea you don't talk about who you meet. I don't know, Peter. This seems like revisionist history. A little bit. I mean, personally, to me, as I'm viewing this, third hand, right? Just from the outsider perspective. Now, Peter says he did ask Jeffrey about his 2008 conviction, because all this happened afterwards, right? He characterized it as prostitution-related charges. In 2018, I learned that this was grossly minimized. I was incredibly naive to believe him, and then later explains that in 2018, November, he read the Miami Herald investigative article, told him he needed to accept responsibility for what he did, and said he even asked Epstein to provide therapy to Epstein's victims, which is an interesting approach to have here. Now, the funny...
Is he on drugs? Like, does he think that people are gonna... What the fuck? His response is making me more angry than what he even did. Like, motherfucker, do you think I'm dumb? Like, what do you think the people that follow you are dumb? Do you think the American people are dumb? Or are you dumb? Like, I'll ask again, because what the fuck? Are you serious?
Funny thing is, there are some more emails between Peter Attia that we need to read, because remember that he said he read this 2018 article from the Miami Herald. I believe it's this one by Julia K. Brown in November 28th. It's about Jeffrey Epstein assembling a large cult-like network of underage girls. But in December, Peter Attia says, home is very good, work stressful, making some changes. He asks him, what's the fallout from the recent story? Apparently talking about the Miami Herald.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, motherfucker, did you not, like, even deign to look at the mentions of you and the emails that you yourself sent before you issued a dipshit ass fucking statement? What the fuck? Like, investigate this fool. Investigate all these motherfuckers. All these perverted motherfucking freaks. They all need to go to fucking jail. The dungeon below the jail. Fuck them all.
Now, maybe I just didn't see the emails, that where he was demanding accountability. I don't know what that's about, but Jeffrey Epstein says, same as usual, just tougher. Peter Attia says...
I almost forgot that he said he demanded that he pay the victim's therapy. Like, suck my dick from the back, Peter Attia, what the fuck your name is, bitch. The fuck?
Legally, any change. Jeffrey Epstein, 0. So, I don't know. Maybe this whole you gotta provide therapy to, these victims happened. I haven't seen it yet.
And I saw a fucking unicorn today. Like, what?
Definitely could see it, but it's
if we're just saying shit, like,
kind of shocking. I just kind of don't buy it. Like, the whole, is there any change legally? That more sounds like you're covering yourself. I mean, just to be honest. But maybe I could look past all of that if not for the thing we're about to see, which just in my mind is maybe the worst thing I've seen in the files. Not for its, explicitness, the amount of simping that people did for Jeffrey Epstein. Now they all say, oh, it was a personal mistake, blah, blah, blah. I regret it. I didn't look into it enough. But the level is just, you've never seen anything like it. So remember I said I read a book by Peter Attia. It was called Outlive, and he's supposed to be this doctor who knows a lot about longevity. So he writes it, and I picked it up because at the rate we're getting rid of these crimes, I need to live forever in order to try to stop some of these scams. But as I pick up this book, and one of the things in the book is Peter Attia kind of reflecting internally about how he's kind of been a bit, and I'm paraphrasing here, but a bit of a psycho in his life and he needed to focus on family stuff. And so he it's almost a confessional of some embarrassing things in his life. And honestly, it comes off as very vulnerable, very self-reflective. You know, he's this doctor telling other people what to do, but he's not a very good patient. That's kind of how it comes off. And one of the stories is awful. I won't go too much into it, but basically
I feel like there's a lot of room between not a good patient and a psycho. Just me? No? Okay.
son has this horrible medical emergency. It's described in this book like this. A few months ago, Tuesday, July 11th, 2017, that date is important. At 5:45 to be exact, I received a call from Jill, my wife. She was in an ambulance with our infant son. Now, again, I'm not gonna get into the details here because, it's tragic and I'm not trying to bring that into it. What is relevant is that Peter Attia talks about how he stayed in New York and didn't show up because he was, quote, busy with his important work. Even today, just thinking about what happened, I feel nauseous about my behavior. I can't believe I did that to my family. Now, at the time I read that and I was like,
Wait a minute. Okay, wait. I'm going to need... He stayed in New York busy with important work? His baby son had a heart attack on Tuesday and he did not come home till Friday of the following week, 10 days later? Okay, he is a psycho. What? Goddamn sociopath? What the fuck? Cool. What the fuck?
busy with his important work. Even today, just thinking about what happened, I feel nauseous about my behavior. I can't believe I did that to my family. Now, at the time I read that and I was like, well, it's at least as good that you self-reflected on that. It's horrible, but, yeah, you were a bit of a psycho. But what's crazy?
I think we give people a little bit too much credit for self-reflecting. Like, okay, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to make yourself better? Or, like let's see some improvement before we praise this self-reflection. Because if you're just going to reflect and do nothing with that, what's the point?
Now, we find out some of the important work. I mean, it's a little unclear, but some of the important work may have been Jeffrey Epstein, which is just, it's so dark to imagine. Remember, he says July 11th, 2017 is when this all happened. And then he says he did not come home to San Diego until Friday the following week, 10 days later. So July 11th, 2017, 2 days after this happens, he's talking to Jeffrey Epstein. And they seem to be coordinating about something. Sure, what time? Jeffrey Epstein, 9:30. Peter Attia responds, sure, I can come earlier. Also, if you have a hard stop at 10, let me know. You're hanging out with Jeffrey? I don't even know what to say. This is out of pocket. I mean, there's no explanation for this. I mean, I didn't see this in the response from Peter. I mean, maybe he thinks he addresses it because he already admitted that was like scummy, but that is just, there's a reason that didn't make it in the book, is what I'm trying to say. I didn't see that in the book.
Instead of going to see your infant son, your baby, your little bundle of joy, you decided to go hang out with an international sex trafficking pedophile, rapist. You need serious help. Like, there's something seriously wrong with you. Your son had a heart attack. You know how unbelievably rare it is for a child that age to have a heart attack? Do you not understand? This is sociopathy. You don't have empathy. It's not only you were not worried enough about your child, the life that you brought into this world, but can you not imagine the unbelievable amount of stress that your partner was in, dealing with that alone? You took 10 days to come home. If I was her, I would have. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that out loud, but crazy. That's
book, but
that's
I
an insane thing. And if I was finding this out now, especially that it wasn't important work, even important work, like your lie was crazy, like borderline sociopathic, like, and then this is such an extra level of depravity, like. What?
read it. I didn't see, I was actually, one of the things I needed to do, my important work was seeing or talking to Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, isn't that weird? Like that's the simping that I'm talking about, is these people love this guy, or that's how it seems to me. Like, what are all these rich and powerful people doing, protecting him, missing emergencies for Jeffrey, fawning over Jeffrey, asking for Jeffrey's harem, saying their biggest problem is the life they lead is so outrageous they can't tell a soul. I mean, what is going on here? And is it true they all didn't know, right? Because, I'm reading these documents, and it's hard to say who exactly knew what, when, but I don't believe, remember, they're all denying it, I don't believe nobody knew, right? Clearly, some people knew what was going on, and there's all this kind of coded language in the files where they talk about this stuff almost in like a nudge kind of way. I mean, here's some Woody Allen stuff. He was in the files. He says his business office, if you can make out the check to me, it looks very bad because then it looks like a gift to me. He says that to Epstein. He says, I don't want to be one of your women, or should I say girls. And what's that? Oh, how do we, come on, guys. Woody says, I would be much more expensive than your girls. You wouldn't be able to afford me. Jeffrey responds, yes, the price to pay would be too high. Woody says, this will be a beautiful friendship. And then Jeffrey says, as long as I follow orders, smiley face. Woody Allen sends a message saying Woody says the exact same thing, but in a dirtier way. Jeffrey responds, what did he say? Woody Allen, are you kidding? I can't put it in writing. I mean, no evidence, no evidence. How? Come on, I think I see a little bit of evidence. I'm squinting, but I think I can see a little bit of evidence. I mean, guys, like Jeffrey Epstein right here, where he's talking to a guy, he says, Paris with Woody, and the person responds, for le pedophile convention. And Jeffrey says, I think pedophile is the plural. I mean, no evidence. I mean, is that no evidence? That's nothing. We don't even want to question these people. There's no investigations going on. So, yeah, it's honestly really sad to see how, look, I'm not saying people around the world are having crazy consequences, but a few people are resigning, thank goodness. A few people are at least facing a little bit of scrutiny, but here Elon Musk lays out the playbook, apparently for our guys. We admit nothing, we deny everything, and we blame others. We just push the spotlight onto other people. And unfortunately, that's what you've seen the whole time from all the people in the files. All of them say, oh, I was so happy these files came out. It's about shining accountability and justice for the victims, but I had nothing to do with it. Okay, so then where's the justice for the victims? So nobody, all of you say somebody else had something to do with it, but everybody says nobody had anything to do with it. The FBI says they don't have any other, investigations, any other kind of leads.
Round them all up and lock them all up. Shackle them all. If they didn't do anything they knew about it, then they covered it up. So I'm good with that. Just lock everybody up. I'm good with that. Fuck it. Take Clinton too. I don't give a fuck. Take Gates. If like the MAGA people are like, oh, you don't want to get Bill Clinton arrested. Yes, the fuck I do. Arrest that creep. I don't give a fuck. Like I've been known he's a creep ever since he fucking got a blowjob from a 19-year-old, 21-year-old, however the fuck old she was. Basically a fucking child, when he was in his fucking 50s in the Oval Office as the president of the United States, the biggest abuse of power that you could probably fucking ever have. Like, he's a fucking creep. I don't fucking care about those motherfuckers. Like, arrest everybody.
Despite the fact we have one of the procurers of the women just walking free, apparently, like no charges against him. Have we investigated him? I mean, it's just shocking how much the Epstein files show The powerful, how they protect their own, how so many of them knew what was going on, to the extent they found out later, a lot of them tried to protect Epstein, like literally make PR campaigns for his reputation. And this is a dark look at the state of the world, honestly, because Epstein happened a while ago, but the reason everyone cares is because there's other Epsteins around, right? There's other people evading accountability all the time. There's other people that this band of billion.
And he was a spy. Like, he very clearly was like a special agent freelancing for multiple different intelligence agencies across the globe. And he was using this pedophile sex trafficking ring to obtain blackmail and sensitive information on these elite men. That's why there's so many world leaders. That's why there's so many billionaires. Like, it's this needs to be exposed. Like, if he was working for, well, we know he is Mossad. He was Mossad. But if he was working for all these intelligence agencies and he had all this blackmail and sensitive information and was providing underage girls to fucking elite men and getting compromising information on them, compromising pictures, videos, whatever, then do those agencies still have that compromising information? Because Donald Trump is all up in these files. He's the president of the United States. If he's compromised, well, there pretty much is no doubt. Like, I fully believe the motherfucker's compromised by Putin and Israel. That's why he's been. Look at all the decisions he's made surrounding those two countries. Like, it's hard not to just ostensibly the president is compromised by Putin and the Knesset. So, like, what are we doing? Like, multiple presidents of the United States, the richest men in the world,
billionaires and power brokers and PR people, even lawmakers, they circle the wagons and protect their own to the point you can never get accountability for anything. So anyway, that's it. It's a hard look at the Epstein files, but it's one we needed to do. But I want to make the disclaimer once again that, look, I've tried to read people's individual denials where I could, but you should just assume everyone that we are talking about firmly denies any kind of criminal wrongdoing. They deny anything untowards about any kind of minors. And given the fact that our
and I'm assuming that they're all guilty.
government doesn't seem to want to investigate anyone, I would just assume everybody here is completely clear. And so I want to get all those caveats in here because we are talking about some very powerful people with enormous means. And I don't want to be.
I think they're all guilty. Guilty as sin, in my personal opinion. Allegedly, in my opinion. They're all guilty as sin. And even if they did not perpetrate an act against a minor, they still contributed, covered up, participated. Like, it doesn't even matter if it's minors. All these women were manipulated into sex trafficking. Like, they were brought across borders for the purpose of being pimped out. That's sex trafficking. Regardless, they were contributed to the victimization of these women, or they helped cover it up, or they were fine with it. And I lock them all up. Like, if you see something, say something. The fuck?
Seen as I'm saying stuff, I'm reading the files, I'm giving my personal opinion, but ultimately this is an indictment of our FBI and the people in power. And that's what I think the Epstein files have really.
Biden, it's an indictment on Joseph R. Biden, Brandon motherfucking ass. Fucking, it's indictment on Merrick Garland, is the most worthless piece of shit to have ever existed in modern times in America. I mean, the motherfucker took over a DOJ after a literal insurrection was just incited by the president of the United States, and sat on his fucking hands and did not fucking prosecute him like the fucking bulldog that he should have been. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And he sat on all this information for 4 years. Biden sat on all this information for 4 years. The FBI, the DOJ, like, what the fuck? And you let this man be the president again. That is the result. Not prosecuting properly for the inciting an insurrection, trying to overthrow the government. Not prosecuting for that. Not exposing all this fucking shit before the election. Like, what? Hello? You were sitting on all of this? Are you serious? For 4 years. 4 fucking years. Now we're literally experiencing a fascist authoritarian regime. I hope Merrick Garland like sleeps well. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Anyways.
Shown us. This has been a long road. Can you believe it all started over here and we have come all this way with all these files coming out, and it seems like the question is on the table. Are there going to be consequences?
Is there any chance that any of these individuals who partied with Epstein and engaged in, relations with minors will be prosecuted?
Well,
Any
look,
chance?
I'll never say no, and we will always investigate any evidence of misconduct. But as you know, it is not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein, and so as horrible as it's not a crime to email with Mr. Epstein. And some of these men may have done horrible things, and if we have evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But it's also the kind of thing that the American people need to understand, that it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. It isn't a crime to have
Didn't look
lunch
like
at his
that's all
island.
that was going on some of those photos. I mean, if the photos could speak, some of them look pretty bad.
That's right. And unfortunately, photos can't speak.
Oh what? What? The cover up is so incompetent. Like, what? Literal troglodyte level intelligence. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, well, the evidence doesn't show. It shows enough to the point where you should be investigating all these fucking people, turning out over like every single fucking stone. Obviously, he's not fucking going to. Todd Blanche is Trump's former fixer. He's the one that was sent to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, and then afterwards, after that interview that he had with her, she was transferred to that fucking fluffy fucking Club Fed that she's at now with a fucking puppy. Like, anyways, this is fucking crazy. Keep your eyes open. This is insane.